So starting off with a pretty slow Monday, the only gapper on the day was pretty much OBSV, and man, like I literally like underperformed on this one. Like it never really bounced to high enough for me to add short. I started in a really small size pre-market short because, you know, like it was early, it was Monday morning, 7:45, so that's like 4:40 my time. I wanted to take it slow. I wanted to like scale in when it bounces to the highs and retesting $6 and $7. It never like bounced, and that's why I had some short covering into the wash. $6, that's a key level I was watching. I want to cover some into that. And when it failed $6 area, that's why I added a little bit more, but never to a size that I'm even happy about. So like when it starts working, I just cover some, and at the open, when it starts to pop, it only went to a high of 540s, and that's still not big enough of a pop for me to add. I was looking for 560s at least and 580s area to add because first of all, the stock is easy to borrow. It's not a low float, but it's easy to borrow. And it's gapping up to this daily gap, right? So I was thinking like it's gonna pop, at least retest the top range of the gap until we sell off, and it just didn't happen. It was just extremely heavy. Someone big was unloading into the retails, and I was just, man, like looking at this, like I had such a tiny size. It was just, it looks nice. Yeah, I held all the way down here, but I never added. That's something I need to work on. Adding into my winners. Doesn't matter how small or how big. You can see, and I just took off the rest of the size here and drifted down to a low of 320s. So like even if I got in late around like 530s, that's still a substantial amount. $2 a share from the pop at the open. That was the big missed opportunity on the day, OBSV. But still a nice win despite the small size. The other one that was also around the open, CRWD. So this place is the exact same place. It's a large cap company, by the way. It's a 12 billion market cap. But, you know, it's still the same setup that I played a long time ago on Uber and beyond. Today is the IPO lockup date. So, you know, like if you look back to my recap video from a month ago, I did the exact same thing. I bought the bottom, I bounced the stock for $1 or $2 on Uber. It's really the same thing every single time. Like once you have a few strategies and few setups that's working really well in your trading, you just do the same thing, right? After a while, it should get boring. I bought the bounce at 48.50s. I had orders left at $48. Why 48? Because 48 is down here. So the better entry would have been $48 down here, right? There's a lot of support in this area. I was looking for a quick pull from $50 down to 48. So that's a $2 pull right at the open. So that should give us, you know, a really nice bounce for $1, $2 a share. It never got to $48, so I had some size, a quarter size at $48.50 and bouncing it for around to 49.40s and sold everything up here when it was teetering around this 49.80s area. This, you know, another pre-market high right here. So that's why when it was kind of teetering around this area, and that's why I sold. Because I think with Uber and beyond, it popped to retest pre-market highs or pre-market lows, however you read it, and just dumped even lower. And that's why I sold all my position here. I was thinking that, okay, it could flush down to $48 next, and that's where I can, you know, buy even lower and redo the same thing again. It's a really pretty simple setup. You're just bouncing the stock on the panic sell-off right at the open. So nice little bounce play on this one. And the last play on the day, I didn't do as good. FTSV. So, okay, so the company was popping today and was actually halted on the upside at one point when they announced positive data coming up about one of the drugs that they're putting on trial for. And that's why I loaned the first wash after this parabolic move, right? It's a very simple strategy. You know, you see me do the same thing with a lot of other low float stocks and other hyped up biotech stocks recently. So I'm just loaning the first major wash after this parabolic run up, right? And this is, I think, after the halt, I believe. I don't quite remember, but you know, I got in a quarter size here and I was selling into the pop, and I was leaving about 1/10 size just to see what it could happen. At 1/10 size, and that size got stopped out here, and looking in hindsight, you know, the stop was set too tight, right? The stop, I set it just beneath VWAP, but in reality, the stop should have been just beneath this low, right here, this beneath the 2160s area. So maybe 2150, 2120 would have been a better stop. 110 size, I'm really not giving much back at all. But that's something to improve on for the next time. And this is where I see momentum and volume coming in again, like volume breakout down here. And this is where I longed again. I was selling into every single push, and I was selling right here when I was seeing that the stock seems like it's going to get halted again on the level 2. When I sold here, that's where I made the mistake. The sell order was too big and I accidentally flipped short. I didn't know the stock was shortable. And I think I should have been more aware of that, of course. When you're trading these kind of fast momentum, like I make mistakes. I'm human after all. And I accidentally shorted. And it wasn't a huge size in comparison to the long, so it was okay, but I still gave some back. You can see when I realized I was shorting it, I covered here $27 and I'm covering on the top here at $28. So like even with a small size short from 2640s, I was still losing about $2 a share. So very, very stupid mistake on that short. And that's why I was trying to get out here. I was getting out here and making sure I'm not making any more mistake. So at the end, I'm still green on this trade, but very disappointed by my stupid mistake here. And next time, need to be more aware of that. So crazy day with a low float TCCO squeeze. So this stock was gapping up with earnings news. They reported better than expected earnings. It's a low float. It's around 1.5 million shares float. It's a really small cap though. So I couldn't find anything in the filings that's dilutive. So that could be another thing why it ran so smoothly from $3 to $10 at the highs today. So pre-market, it was around 7:30 before 7:30. I was shorting around the 390s and 380s area and added some more here and actually covered all of it into here in the 335. So thank God I covered. And I tried to go back again, small size, seeing that, this could actually flush down to $3. And when I see it starts holding the pre-market, this is why I covered all the re-short here. So the second short was a loss. But I made my money early on this. And in hindsight, of course, I should have went long when it broke the pre-market highs at $4 around 8:30. I should have went long, but it's really hard sometimes to switch bias for me right away because I was short earlier and I made money on it. And when it starts squeezing, I was just kind of avoiding it and wanted to wait to see how it acts at the market open. And I just dumped at the market open and was holding around this $5 area. And I kind of just had it on the side and I wasn't really looking for a long midday like this. This just looks like a grinding action. And of course, I missed everything from $5 to $8, $9, and then later on $10 over here. So definitely need to work more of a bias switch on this. But tomorrow there will be more opportunities on this, long or short, for sure. Next stock, SFIX. So this one I actually shorted. This is another earnings gap, but this stock has a history of selling off on earnings, right? You can see on the daily charts pretty clear. Earnings right here, they popped and sold off. Another earnings right here popped and sold off. So today it's probably gonna do the same, right? So guys, use the daily charts, very, very important. So today it was gapping up to a high of 28.40s at the market open, and I was using around this $28 as a guide. And that's why I started in. When I see this pre-market low was breaking down, I started in short, small size here, and that was about half an hour before the open. And at the open, I was ready to add on the pops towards 28 and then the 28.50s area if it goes there. I had some orders up there, never hit it, and just starts flushing after this $28 rejected really hard. And that's why I was covering into the wash. I was looking for more a lot early on. You can see it flushed down back to 26.60s and then eventually $26 later on. But I was looking for, the flush early on. And I didn't want to get caught in this kind of grinding action. And that's why I took off most here and then some more here when it starts holding this area. You can see it popped above 27.50s and tried to retest $28, never got there. And that's where my stop is on my last piece. And then I just covered into the wash here. I was thinking this could be a double bottom and the stock could rebound, and I just took out all my short here. And you can see just kind of grinded higher a little bit, retesting VWAP, but then selling off again later on. But I just kind of took the meat of the move and left it alone, just like TCCO. So today the runner of the day was CEI. So this stock was actually running and gapping up on no news. So I was actually really surprised when it ran as far as it did. But it is a low float after all, so only 3 million shares float, 5 million market cap. So it's still a pig. You know, look at this ugly daily chart. Lots of long-term dilution and a lot of bag holders. But, you know, at the end of the day, with enough volume, the low floats, they can still fly. So that's why, you know, I'm still trying to get better at buying these low float penny stocks. But since it doesn't have news, I sized down a lot. So at the end, I don't think I made any money on this trade. So let's talk about this. So the idea was that if it breaks and holds $2, I think we can see higher on the stock. It has a lot of room to go on the daily chart. There's room to go to $2.50 and then $3 on the daily chart, right? You see the most significant resistance. So, and that's exactly where it went to. $2.50 and then $3. Now, so you can know I tried to long in the wash instead of selling really quick. And with a stock like this that doesn't have news, for me, it's always only scalp long. Like you can see I'm scalping these for like, 10 cents, 20 cents, nothing significant. And I was trying to long the washes here because the idea is that this will slowly grind up to do this later on, which is exactly what we saw on TCCO yesterday. But like this thing was just, like when it was holding VWAP, this was just consolidating, but it looked so weak on the tape and there was so much selling. So that's why I bailed on this, right? So this trade ended up being a loser. And then of course, after I sold, it eventually grinded up to $3, even higher, 3/10. But I was all out by this point. So this is a really tiny win after this tiny loss at the back. So I didn't really make anything on CEI, the long trade. And the other better trade on the day was, you know, sticking to what I know best, CLVS. You can see I've been like trading it the same way the past 2 weeks. Just stick with what works, right? You don't have to reinvent the wheel every single day. Pick the setups that you're familiar with and the tickers that you know you're confident that you can make a good 50, 70 cents off. And that's CLVS for me. CLVS, it's, you know, the same idea as all the trades I've done on this before. Long on the extended washouts and short on the breakouts. And that's exactly what I did. Longing the washouts around 1080s and added some more, about 1090s and bouncing it all the way to 1120s, 1130s. So that's a good, you know, 40, 50 cents right there. Of course, like I didn't know it would like squeeze that high back to almost $12, right? Like it was a red day after all, after 3 days of green days, so I was expecting this to be a temporary bounce and for it to continue selling off. But this stock, man, this stock likes to rip both longs and shorts. But yeah, no, trying to keep everything simple, just stick with what you know and follow your plan. So today I'm finally gonna remember to turn on this yellow mouse highlighter thing that I recently bought. Forgot to use it the last 2 days, so sorry about that. So I guess the theme of this week has been, you know, the low floaters, these pieces of companies that are low float, we know they're gonna dump eventually, like TNXP. Like look at this ugly daily chart, highly dilutive. But again, like when a float is only 700,000, it's a micro float. It can still squeeze with enough volume. So no, there's definitely opportunities to go long or short. Like it's not like it's just tanks right at the open and no pop, right? So I was actually really happy about how I read the volume and price action. You know, it's all being reactive, and I didn't want to anticipate and get dumped down. So when I see volume coming in and it's breaking, you know, breaking near these pre-market highs, volume coming in, there was around 3 million, almost 3 million buying volume in the first 3-minute candle. For a 700,000 share float stock, that's huge. And that's why, you know, and these are cheap stocks, so you can take some really huge size. That's why I longed the momentum, you know, just about joining the trend and selling into the rips, right? I didn't want to outstay my welcome because this kind of stuff could happen. So I longed here and added some more when seeing that this volume is really robust and there's still a lot of buying coming in on the tape. I bought some more here and I selling into every single spike. I got stopped out here. You know, it's about selling into the volume and the momentum and all the people buying the breakout and saving a small piece for in case it goes to $2. Because on the daily chart, it could go to $2. But you remember to always use hard stop when, you know, I'm trading these pigs. You could say, oh, you got stopped out here, haha, you missed so much. But, you know, I'm protecting myself because this could easily just be a dump candle like this one happening right here too. So it's about just, you know, taking the meat of the move and now outstay your welcome when it comes to these sketchy penny stocks. So that's a nice trade on the day. And the other one was AMRX. So this one started popping and gapping up pre-market after it receives abbreviated new drug application approval for one of their drugs. So I guess that's short-term positive news. This one is not a low float though. This one has a float about 133 million, and it's a large, well, it's still a small cap company, but it's a lot larger than TNXP. So this one, no, I was trying to react to the technical side of these. So pre-market was gapping out to about 420s. 420s right here on the daily charts. You know, I always use a daily chart. So if it breaks and holds 420s, it has room to go to $5. And if it holds $5, we have room to go up into this daily gap towards, you know, $6, $6.50, $7. So I want to react to those daily levels. So you can see that's why I started buying here when it breaks above the 420. And at this slam down, I trimmed some position because just in case this becomes one of those sell the news events, I don't want to get caught up in a dump. If what happens if it, you know, breaks down the 420, that this becomes a fake out and just breaks down and dumps all the way to 370s. I don't want to be caught with too much size if there was a dump. You know, so that's why, you know, I trimmed some and added some back here, and then, you know, I was selling into every single rip because this is still pre-market. I want to give myself room to add back if I want to, but of course you can see I didn't end up adding back. You know, like there was something about the price action pre-market that I wasn't that huge of a fan of, so that's why I didn't add any bigger. So it's actually out of the entire trade pre-market. So you can see I didn't catch a top, but that's okay. You catch the meat of the move, right? And I actually lost a little bit on this little ad here, but that's okay. And pre-market just starts dumping. I was actually waiting down here around 420s, and I see there's some selling, you know, selling slowing down, and I see these long wicks. That means people are starting to pick it up. And that's why, you know, I want a long small size. You know, if it dips down to 420, I want to be able to add. I long really small size here, I just sold right into this. Because like again, these wicks, I didn't like it. I don't like the sign of these wicks, a lot of selling up here. And of course, after I sold, the squeeze back to the highs without me, right? So that was a long here, but actually I lost on the short side here. So this middle trade, these two red candles, that was a short, two shorts, and I covered here. So this is a loss on the short side because I thought this is just gonna be, you know, a little pop, and then we are gonna slam back down to 430s and 420s because, you know, over here it was kind of weak, and that's the reason I sold my long, right? But when I see volume started coming in, you know, there's actual robust buying volume coming in, that's why I covered everything. So this short is a loss, and that's why I started longing. I was thinking, okay, you know what, this is a really strong reclaim. We can retest the highs of $5 and eventually break out to actual daily gap here, 530s and possibly $6. And that's why I was buying the breakout, you know, like this is a chase size, I understand. I was adding into the dips here. And I add even more here when I'm seeing that this is actually really strong. If you just analyzing the stock with the volume, you can see the selling is a lot less than the buying. So that's a really, really simple volume analysis. And the stock was trading a lot, like the price action was a lot cleaner than earlier, right? Earlier you were seeing all these kind of wicks. I don't like that, but these were a lot cleaner. And that's why I was buying every single dip. I was selling towards the $5 line, and I was selling over the most of it here. After it breaks out about $5 and went to 510s, it got rejected, and that's why I started selling. I got stopped out here. So same idea as TNXP. I left it a little bit, but you know, always have a hard stop. I don't want to give back too much of my profit. So that's a little long trade, short trade, long trade here on AMRX. So nice decent gain on this one. The other one is basically a scratch trade, TCCO. So this one, like, I didn't do that well on it, I'll be honest. Like I was buying these and the volume wasn't that great. Yeah, you can see there's around 200,000 volume here and 170,000, but the spreads were really high. There was, I think, 20-cent spread, and I didn't like that. Like I just kind of got whipped out a bunch of times, and I was adding in, and I realized I was a little bit too big, and that's why I trimmed a lot of my size just in case, like gotta protect my downside, right? And then like adding back and then trimming some after it got whipped out, a lot of wicks in these indecisive candles, and that's why I was like, like it's not worth it, and I trimmed my size a lot. So at the end, yeah, I sold for like a tiny profit, but this is not a good trade at all. So the better trades on the day were definitely AMRX and TNXP for me. So a decent way to end the week with some plays today on the long side. The first one I played today was CCCL. So this stock was actually up on no news, but it is a Chinese company, a Chinese penny stock, and with all the trade war talks between China and Trump, like a lot of these sketchy penny stocks in this Chinese sector gets pumped up. It's the same way with CIFS. I didn't play that one, but it's the same way. That's why this stock was also gapping up today with a sympathy to CCCL. But I only played this one. The idea is really simple, right? I'm just buying the pre-market dips and selling into every single rip, and especially at the open when everyone's chasing these chat room alerts and buying the breakouts, I'm selling into the breakout. This is a low float stock, 5 million shares and 5 million market cap. So definitely it's a pig. Like it's the same play as TNPX yesterday. Pigs can still fly, but you need to be sure that you're on the right side at the right time. So that's why I'm buying the front side and leaving it behind in the back, not playing anything here. So buying the dips, selling the rips, and same way here, buying these dips, wash-offs down to these pre-market low levels and just selling into all the rips. I was expecting a little bit more bounce on this, but when it didn't happen, I just have to bail and get out. I don't want to be stuck in this kind of slow drip where all the loans are giving up. It's probably going back to 90 cents next week. So this one is very anticlimactic. Nothing much happened. It's also an offering play. It's 11 million shares float. It's a recent one I played at the FDA approval maybe last week or 2 weeks ago, but they had announced an offering a few days ago at a pricing of $5 a share. So it's an offering play. You've seen me play this a couple of times on other tickers. So this one gapped down overnight, and the idea was that I want to buy every single wash towards $5. This is a support at $5.10, but the pricing is at $5. So I was looking for it to dip even lower for me to pick some more up. But I started loaning some pre-market. You can see loan some here and then loan some after the pullback from the bounce at the open, and it just kind of like was grinding up. It wasn't selling off either. Never broke my support level at 510, and just kind of grinding up. And I trimmed some here for break even. I just sold out the rest here at 550. So I made like 10 cents probably after this averaging everything, but I'll be watching this next week to see how it sets up. But I'm looking for a rebound on the daily. You can see a gap down from $8 to $6, and then now at 550. So I'm looking for some continuation to the long side next week. The other one is TNDM. This one was actually halted during news pending from FDA approval of one of their insulin pumps, and that's why I loaned the dip after the unhold and selling to the rips. And the reason I was really fast to get out, scalped it for like 80 cents, is because I thought this was gonna be one of those sell the news events where the stock after it unholds pops a little bit and just sells off, right? Because it could have been priced in with all the investors and the buyers knowing that they are releasing the news sometime soon. So that's why I got out, and you can see it spiked a little bit more, and now it's selling off now. But I'm all done for the day. So be on the lookout for the Sunday watch list that I send out every single weekend. If you haven't signed up, you can sign up with the link in the description below. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next week.